Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rainy Pan, and I'm the Managing Director of Hong Kong PropTech Association. Today, we are very delighted to co-host this webinar on IoT applications in real estate sectors with the Hong Kong Internet of Things Alliance. And we have an amazing lineup of leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs joining us for presentation and panel discussion today. The agenda of the webinar today will be into two folds, starting with two short presentations on IoT solutions and followed by a panel discussion. So before I hand over to our first presenter, I'd like to invite Dr. Ernest Low, President of Hong Kong Internet of Things Alliance and founder of Future Impact Lab, for a few quick words.
Thanks, Rainy. Hey, good afternoon, guys. So it's really our honor and pleasure to organize this event with HKPTA and Vivian and Rainy's teams, and also their members, Veridice and Negawatt Utilities. So I'm sure today you're going to hear a lot of exciting sharings from these experts, Zach and other really experienced innovators in the field. And we are also honored to have invited Dr. Kevin Kam from Strategic Building Innovation. Well, actually, he is an impactful visionary in both academia and also industry. So you'll find it out. He's going to share a lot of insights as well. And at last, well, I would like to really thank Mr. Li Yanshen, Deputy Director of China Telecom Global. Well, these days tech technologies have been disrupting basically all verticals, right? And well, this PropTech role because, well, they have got all the connectivity, basically ubiquitous connectivity. So it will be really interesting to see how telco, these tech giants are going to leverage this connectivity so as to play some key role in this PropTech space. So without further ado, well, would all of you please join me to welcome Mr. Li Yanshen to give the first speech? Maybe Rainy is going to introduce Mr. Li in more detail, okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ernest. Thanks very much. So let me stop sharing my screen for now. If Mr. Yanshen Li, you can share your screen. Mr. Yanshen Li is the Deputy Director of Overseas Mobility Business Department at China Telecom Global. He has over 15 years of experience in various roles, including product and business development. Mr. Li leads the international IoT business at China Telecom Global and oversees all aspects of B2B and B2C businesses of its Hong Kong and BNNO. So I'll hand over to Mr. Yanshen Li to introduce a bit more on the exciting stuff that they are doing at China Telecom Global. Mr. Li.
Okay. Thank you, Winnie. Let me share my screen. Okay. Again, thank you everyone for having me in this panel, in this webinar. So it's my honor to be here. Today's topic is about constructions to sustainable management. So as a telco, so I want to again use also constructions as the entry point and to talk about how we wanted to how we visioned this development into smart living in general. So a little bit about ourselves. So I'm based in Hong Kong. I belong to China Telecom Global. So actually we have multiple regional headquarters in different places, City America, City Europe, and Middle East and African office. So to support us, in the international business. So we have many different global IoT projects to different parts of the world and for different industries. And today we focus on primarily constructions and smart cities. And I will focus a little bit more on the China perspective, since we have a lot of these smart buildings and smart city operations in domestic China. And so this will be today's focus. But if the audiences have also projects, to the other parts of the world, we very much welcome the opportunities, to work for projects in other countries as well. applications. As Ernest introduced, so yes, traditionally we are a connectivity provider. However, IoT cannot live or cannot work with just connectivities. You need a complete ecosystems to work for it. So not only that we provide the underlying connectivity, but we also starting to provide cloud services and applications, on top of it, to enable the different IoT applications. So you can see on this picture on the left hand side. We have these big strategies at the group level, which is 2 plus 4 plus 31 plus X and plus O. So which is really in a nutshell is our cloud strategies. With two major data centers in China and different POPs in China and overseas, supporting our customers for cloud deployment. So this is really the platform enabling our customers to deploy different types of applications, IoT applications, for their projects. So, and then on the right hand side, which is the connectivity side. So now everyone is talking about 5G. So and then we are one of the largest operators in China. In fact, in the world. And 5G is, we really put a lot of focus on 5G, and we have a lot of subscribers on our 5G network already, and different 5G projects. So we on the mobile side, we are seeing a trend, to ride on the 5G wave to start deploying more and more IoT applications on that. So you can see on the bottom side, there are different applications that we can make use of, this cloud and 5G infrastructures. And then market analysis, I will not go over too much into it. So basically, we are seeing, that traditionally is construction is a very labor-intensive project type of work, and then it's very high maintenance costs and low operational efficiency. So and then with with IoT enabling through IoT, we can I think we can increase the efficiency, and more importantly, we can provide a better safety, to the people. And then this is the overall architectures, for the construction space, and also for I think in general speaking, I mean it will be applicable for any type of IoT projects. So you have the equipment on the hardware side and the connectivity side. So this is quite easily understandable. And then now as operators or as telcos, so we are actually moving expanding our scope of work from connectivity to the platform services as well. So we try to integrate the platform tightly with our connectivities to provide a single solutions to our customers for different requirements. So on the platform side, we have connectivity management, and then specifically for the construction service, we have a lot of video-based applications that make use of the video processing platform. And then we have the AEP platform, application enablement platform, which supports our customers with a lot of device integrations. And then on top of that, there will be a different type of specific applications that we can leverage by our own and by our partners. And then so here, basically we just kind of like illustrations of what we can provide as an overall smart construction service. And then some of the examples including like the bridge displacements detections, and for example tunnel remote surveillances, and then some measurement applications as well. So I guess I mean I guess if we go deep into the construction space, there are lots to talk about different applications. So I think for details, we can we welcome the opportunities to discuss with individuals, people on further details. Just use these opportunities to highlight the values that we can provide. So again, we are becoming we want to expand ourselves into more platform capabilities or platform space. So we have a platform, a city ring platform that provides that's basically an umbrella platform that provides a lot of underlying capabilities, including the AEP that I talked about, device management stack that would be useful for managing different devices, and also different industrial specific applications, connecting with different industrial specific applications. And then already, our platform already supported to the 2,000 plus devices integrated to our platforms. And just a little bit about our companies or the supporting teams in as a whole. So basically, me belonging to City Global. So we are the one-stop interface, to our customers for providing international and domestic solutions. And then we have our group, with the resources allocations and with the overall product planning and strategy supporting us. And also we have a dedicated IoT branch, developing different platform solutions and applications. And constructions will be one of those. And then finally, okay, turning from constructions into smart living. So I think constructions or buildings are one of the elements, for smart living. So and then here in this picture, I list out some of the examples that are already very common in China in terms of providing smart, like enabling smart cities. And then we can see, there are different elements, including security control, fire controls, etc., etc. And I mean, there are really a variety of applications that can be enabled through IoT. So and we really looking forward, to not only providing the construction specific services, but also help, to expand those services, to the wider communities. And lastly, I wanted to highlight, this is one of the awards that we have got in the past as the IoT best IoT solution provider voted by the carrier community. So we hope, we can be the trusted partner to the audiences, for providing IoT solutions. That's all for my presentations. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you so much, Yan-Shen. So that's actually right on time. So good at timing.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I'll just introduce our next presenter, Zach Liu from Paradise. Zach, feel free to share your screen as I introduce about your background and Paradise. So Zach is the Chief Business Officer of Paradise, a startup specialized in providing industry-leading integrated digital twin solutions for smart construction and facility management. Zach has many years of experience in innovation and digital transformation in the AEC industry. Prior to joining Paradise, Zach worked for government digital transformation team and led the data analytics unit. Zach is a chartered engineer and holds both bachelor and master degrees in engineering from the University of Cambridge. So over to you, Zach.
Hi, thanks, Rennie. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Sure. Okay, thanks. So hi, everyone. My name is Zach. So today I want to give you guys a quick introduction on Paradise and how our digital twin platform, together with IoT solutions, can help achieving what we call smart construction. So first of all, I would like to give you a quick introduction on the background of the main challenges in construction industry. So as you may know, as the nature of construction industries, we often have it's very complex and we often involve many parties and multidisciplinary. And as a result, we often experience unsatisfactory quality, safety, and productivity, as you may have heard from the news in recent years. And also in Hong Kong, we have one of the highest costs of construction in the world. And we often experience significant delays, especially on mega projects. And I think a lot of it is due to we have unreliable information and fragmented data that is hard to access. And also because of that, we have a lot of the decisions is made based on experience rather than data driven. So I think the root cause of this is that in the industry as a general, it's really lacking in terms of digitalization. So at Verdice, what we offer is what we call an integrated management platform. So we try to connect everything, all the data related to construction, from building information models to photogrammetry models, IoT sensors, various business applications. And through collecting and analyzing all of the data, we can then be able to present useful information and key insights to help our clients to better manage their projects. So on our platform, our clients will be able to manage get access to all of the projects in a single place. And it will be a web-based platform, so there's no need to install any software, and it can be accessed from any device, anytime. And also, in terms of BIM models, we're able to host and render complex BIM models together with photogrammetry models. And the power comes when the BIM model is integrated with real-world data from progress reporting apps or tracking devices such as RFIDs, so to enable users to real-time to track their site progress and monitor the progress productivity. And also for in terms of the data integration, we also adopt a modular approach where we, whether it's in-house or third-party apps, various systems or IoT sensors, all of them can be easily implemented, integrated into our platform very quickly. And here's some examples on application of IoTs on some of our projects. And very commonly on the health and safety side, we have CCTVs equipped with AI capabilities for detecting such as intrusions or monitor the PPEs and equipments of our workers. And also for plant tracking, we have GPS sensors and proximity sensors to alert people when they get too close to the plants. We also have smart helmets implemented for all workforces to monitor the health and safety information. And also on the environmental side, we have air quality, temperature, and also we have water level sensors to prevent flooding. And also for confined space, we sometimes install indoor positioning beacons to manage the people inside confined space. So actually, without further ado, I want to show you guys a couple of clips so that you could have a better feeling on how our projects works in real life. So right now, what you see is a project in Dongcheng called Dongcheng Newtown Extension. It's a really large-scale infrastructure project covering around 130 hectares. So on this project, we deployed and integrated GPS sensors on all the barges and ships. By doing that, we could then detect whether it's too close to the existing bridges, prevent its collision. And also integrate with CCTVs for monitoring as well. And on the progress side, we've implemented deep mixing BIM models so that the real-time progress can be tracked, monitored easily at a glance. And also for all of the data we collected from our barges and ships, we provide analytics on its history, on its active speeds and idling times to give managers insights on its productivities. And you can also see that this is just a fly through to show you guys the rendering capability and the realisticness of our platform. Right, that is Dongcheng Newtown Extension. And here's the projects at the TKO side for the field banks. And on this project, we focus on a 4D terrain analysis through photogrammetry models. And by using photographic models, we can then provide analysis on its current field volumes without needing of the surveyor. And it can easily visualize its height contours or its slope angles as well. And on IoT side, we've installed sensors on our dumping trucks to monitor and manage its location and its productivities. So on a labor workforce side, smart helmets have been implemented together with proximity sensors installed on plants. So whether it gets too close, you can get alerts. So for AI CCTVs, we've installed a function called smart zoning. So whether it's an unauthorized person entering a danger zone, safety managers will get instant alerts. So here's the clips finished. And on the other side, although our platform can be accessed anywhere, anytime, we also help our clients to set up like NASA-like control rooms, like with big screens, big TVs, so they could more easily to manage their projects 24/7. So in summary, Verdice is an integrated hub that we connect all data related to construction. And through the data we collect, and also through the BIM models and photography models, we form a digital twin and provide visualization on spatial and time data. And also finally, and most importantly, through our in-house developed analytical engines, we give our clients insights to help them to achieve better productivity, safety, and quality. So finally, a bit about our Verdice background. So we are a startup founded in 2018 in Hong Kong Science Park, and we have various expertise in our teams, including engineering, construction, and IT, digital strategy, AI, data science. So we have a very deep understanding on the domain knowledge, also on the pain points of the industries. So our main product is digital twin for smart construction, and we also provide digital strategy consultations to companies. And also our solutions applies to facility management as smart city as well. And a lot of the governments, departments and high profile developer, main contractors has already used our platform to run their projects. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. That's a lot of cool digital twin stuff using animation, using the technologies that you guys have. And I've already seen questions coming from our chat rooms, from our attendees. I'll leave all of that to the end of our discussion along with our panels for the audience to ask any questions. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel moderator and host today, Sanka. Sanka is the Vice President of the Hong Kong Internet of Things Alliance. He is a regional digital service leader of Europe with over 20 years of experience in design and implementation of smart operational solutions leveraging Internet of Things and data analytics across various domains, including construction, customs, property, and cargo terminals. I believe Sanka will be an awesome moderator to ask us and facilitate this panel amongst other distinguished speakers. So I'll leave it to you, Sanka, to introduce the rest of the panelists and start the discussion for the rest of the webinar. Thank you, Sanka.
Thank you so much, Rainey, and good evening all. Thanks for joining us. Very interesting talk, and what's very impressive is that we are on time, which is excellent. So I would like to first, introduce two of the other panelists who haven't spoken, Arthur Lam, as well as Dr. Calvin Kemp. Arthur, could I request you to introduce yourself briefly, please?
Sure. Thanks. My name is Arthur, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Negawatt. And we are actually an AIoT, Artificial Intelligence of Things company, trying to help property services to go through the digital transformation journey. to help them to tackle sustainability, ESG, energy, and operation inefficiencies. So we help them to be smart, green, and efficient. So we've started in Hong Kong in about 2017, 2018, and we have covered about over 100 buildings, existing buildings right now. And we are managing about 45 million square feet of floor area. And then currently we're managing about 230 million kilowatt hour worth of energy on a yearly basis. So our services include energy optimization, air quality monitoring, and also COVID risk management, and also a human capital in terms of operation efficiency and performances, and many kind of things for IoT integration for data analysis and control.
Thank you so much, Arthur. All the right boxes ticked there: smart, green, efficient, and all those numbers just rattling off. 45 million square foot, 230 kilowatt hour. I was trying to remember. I couldn't catch up with you, Arthur. I was just testing my memory. Dr. Calvin, could we have your brief introduction, please?
Yes, hello all. My name is Calvin Can. I am the CEO founder of SBI, Strategic Building Innovation. We are a management consulting firm focusing on construction innovation. And locally, we are serving the Hong Kong government, ranging from the Development Bureau to the Lands Department and all other works departments in Hong Kong. And also for the Construction Industry Council, trying to understand the adoption of new technology for Hong Kong. We're also serving private developers in Hong Kong. And regionally or globally, our team has been working with 20 countries over the last 20 years or so, including serving for the Singapore government, Building Construction Authority, serving for APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, for 21 economies and countries, serving 60% of the global GDP. And we also have our companies in the US, in Singapore, and the Netherlands. I'm also serving for 21 years and counting now as an adjunct professor at Stanford University. I've been with Stanford for 21 years now. And I'm also want to be thankful for Mr. Ernest Low, for inviting me here and the IoT and the PropTech hosts.
Thank you so much, Calvin. And along with Calvin and Arthur, we will also have Zach and Yan, who you actually was listening to the speech. And I don't want to just make it like a monotonous asking a question and feeding an answer. So probably I'll just start with Arthur and Calvin, but feel free to jump in and keep the questions coming up in the chat room. And we don't want to ask, again, pre-prepared questions. So first, what's the big deal about PropTech, Arthur? Why now? Why there's so much of buzz about PropTech? Is it a lot of hype?
Well, to be honest, I think PropTech has been around for many years. I think 10, 20, even 30 years, right? PropTech means for property and technologies. Doesn't have to be IoT, doesn't have to be 5G, doesn't have to be anything, right? But I think right now I think connectivity is one thing that's driving that adoption. I think the cost of IoT is definitely pushing it. And also there's other outside macro factors like sustainability issues, ESG, COVID, right? Decarbonization. All that is driving the awareness of what are we going to do with our future. And you can't really know where we're going to the future unless we understand now and we're trying to start monitoring now. So when you start PropTech, immediately people think, oh, it has to be IoT. But IoT is just like a medium to collect data. But I think the next phase is once you have actually get your hands and your feet into this data, what do you do with it? And that's the next thing. So I think it's getting ready to make the next step.
Excellent. Calvin, coming to you, and maybe you are a better person to answer this from an academic interest. The technology cost is actually going cheaper and cheaper, but the solution cost is always going higher and higher. And the land cost and the property cost in Hong Kong is never cheaper. Why? The technology should make lives easier, but it seems like everything is inversely proportional. What do you think, Calvin?
I think those are good points, and we want to see more data to substantiate some of those opinions. And very likely, it's not just the technology, it's not just the solution, but have we also asked about the cost of status quo? Our team actually came up with a roadmap for CIC and also for Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. In terms of driving BIM, driving green, driving smarter cities. And one of the questions we like to ask is that what is the cost of status quo? What is the waste that it builds into our current processes, to our current status quo, to the fact that we may be more wasteful than we want to be. So yeah, I think the cost may or may not be higher, but the cost of inaction and the risk of not doing anything may be even far greater.
That's actually a fantastic point. The cost of not acting on it is going to be more expensive, but unfortunately our CXOs are paid only for the next 3-4 years. So they're not going to worry about next 20 years, and definitely not going to worry about our grandchildren in terms of sustainability. Arthur, you're smiling. You're a CEO, I think. So going back to on the BIM part that Calvin said, Jack, I always had a big kind of doubt on how do you justify even the ROI of digital twin? I mean, there's so much of hype about the digital twin. What is really the benefit of somebody to implement a digital twin as an operator?
Oh, right. I think it's a really good question. So maybe let me put it that way. So maybe at the beginning of adopting digital twin, you might not see a very clear return of investment, but it's a journey, it's just like a yes or no. So I think once you get more people involved, especially changing people's mindset, their workflows, really adopting the technology to make it useful, like instead of just showing off, then you really get the values. And I think on the other hand, a lot of it is down to health and safety. For example, it's a really important topic in construction. So if say for example, the implementing of CCTV, AI CCTVs for like fall detection or intrusions and those kind of things could really save lives. So in terms of saving lives, it might not be a dollar sign, but it can also be a dollar sign, but it's more important than that, I think. So.
Right. Okay. And I had a question on your solution. When you were actually talking about it, I saw this to be more a construction management system. It's like an integrated data hub. And I couldn't just understand, what is the explanation of a digital twin in your own words? I really want to get to the basics. How do you define digital twin?
So, right, I think there are a lot of different definitions for digital twins in different fields. Like in my language, I think if you have something virtually representing what's happening outside, then it is a digital twin already. So it might not be having autonomous driving or anything like that, but it's you have 1 to 10. So for example, you might have a number 3 digital twin or number 4 digital twin, but as long as you have something that's automated, like the data collection is automated, and it is actually representing what's happening in the real world, then it is already a digital twin for me.
And in real world and real time, is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, in real time.
And Calvin, what will be your opinion? How would you like to challenge this? Don't agree with him, please, Calvin.
I certainly agree and respect with the many voices, the many interpretation out there. Indeed, I think that's why we appreciate that's like the Digital Twin Consortium, that a lot of the global kind of like vendors and solution providers are coming up with Building Smart International. That's a digital twin working group, which is exactly trying to understand all the many valuable voices and see if we can find a consensus in defining and understanding the maturity of digital twin. And let me also offer my team and my perspectives that we do feel like digital twin should be something we cannot do just with the single physical self. It allows us to not only mirror what we have digitally with 3-dimensional representation, with IoT and sensor, be they real time, or sometimes it may just be a good snapshot of what happened over time. That allow us to get both the physical asset and the dynamic, the active part of things.
Right.
The low maturity it should allow us to represent, and a higher maturity it should allow us to gain insights to help us predict, help us be more prescriptive and optimized.
Right. And before I just go to Yan about it, I just recently was talking to one of the big tech vendor, and they say that they have a platform for digital twin. When I actually look into it, it's basically an IoT data hub. So everybody just want to repackage whatever they have and then try to say, this is my version of digital twin. But when you open the box, it's probably something else that's wrapped around the word digital twin, because it's like a more sales and marketing gimmick rather than actually a digital twin itself.
Engineering News Record came up with the term Hollywood BIM some 15, 20 years ago.
Yes.
And even the word BIM, when it was alive 20 years ago, was probably just a repackaging term of what may used to be object-oriented modeling or product modeling. So exactly, I do agree with Sanker that how can we ensure that digital twin is not just a relabel of something that we've been doing, what it's that insights, that trend that allow us to do. So I think that's why we should have a panel to talk about that.
It seems the new toy that can sell more, like the IoT and the AI maybe 5 years before. Yan, on the 5G, I really think Hong Kong is literally lagging behind mainland in a lot of ways. So this is a time for you to boast about what are the good things that's happening across the border and what we can learn from maybe mainland in terms of good technology applications, 5G. I saw some very good presentations from you on construction. Again, a provocative question for you. Are they really real or are they only in PowerPoint? How much has it been adapted in mainland? What do you think? Or other countries?
Thank you, Sanka. So yes, I think in China we are seeing many more 5G related applications. I think one of the reasons is because of the scale. So because of the large geography of China, and it's a little bit easier to scale up. So I think it makes sense, to have so many more use cases in China. And in fact, 5G has been applied to not only constructions, but to a lot of many other use cases as well. So I think in generally speaking, for example, we use 5G, in the construction space. Maybe I try to be a bit more specific to the construction space. For example, we use 5G with the video processing platform for fall detection, for example, for detecting the falling objects to try to improve safety. And also there are other, digital twins. I think there are a lot of discussions on digital twins, and we may not be the experts, in this space. However, I think we hope, we can be the enabler, to support constructing these digital twins through like 5G, through imaging, through our video processing platform. So this is some of the use case. In fact, this has also been done in China.
Right. Yeah. So if you mentioned a very good point about scalability. Hong Kong is 7 million people. We are tinier than Shenzhen. So there is probably very limited opportunity for us to scale it up. Is this even a good business model for Hong Kong? Because people talk about 5G, the investment is high. Really, can they really make money out of it? Would your company establish a full-fledged 5G here? Do you see a business here, or is it more like a bus?
Understand. So I think although the scale in Hong Kong is a little bit smaller, however, this is inevitable trend. I think turning into like smart constructions or with technology enabling through IoT. So we see the values, and like in my presentations, I think there are values in terms of improving the safety or increasing the efficiencies. So whether or not that it can be scaled up like in the way that China does, is the open questions. But however, there are definitely purposes or reasoning behind having this in Hong Kong. So I think we as the telco, we of course, I mean, we also look into how to enable our partners in Hong Kong for similar projects.
Right, Arthur, question to you. You mentioned about really some good points about ESG, energy efficiency, green, and other things. But many a times, very honestly, I come from a commercial background. People say, like, what's the benefit for me? What's the ROI for me? It takes to say that I did something on ESG report at the end of the year, because that's what the stock market is asking for. But other than that, really out of the bottom line profit, do you see a trend and maturity for really companies to be green?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think green is part of the E of the ESG, right? And why do people care about ESG? I think it's a big question, but I think it's just like the financial reports, right? Financial reports tell you the past about a company, right? But the ESG reports, or whatever ESG direction, tells you what is the company going to do, because ESG is something that's going to tell others, your stakeholders, investors, whoever, that in different situations, how resilient your company is going to be, how you're going to treat your staff, your stakeholders, how do you manage your buildings, how's your governance going to carry out in many ways, right? So all these information, it doesn't show in your financial report. So if people want to understand better about the sustainability of the company, in sustainability is not in terms of like the effect on the environment, right? It's the sustainability of the company itself. That's why it's important. People literally wants to know more, just like a soccer game, right? So how does IoT or PropTech comes into it? Like if you look at a soccer game and you just look at the score, okay, who wins? Yeah, you get the answer, but you don't actually see the performance of the teams. So that's why you need different technologies can show you and monitor the progress, so you can actually know what's going to be the differences in the future, right? So I think at the end of the day, PropTech, whatever it is that there must be some commercial value to it. Otherwise, investors are not going to pay for it, operators are not going to use it. But I think more importantly, I think PropTech should be designed for people rather than buildings, equipments, whatnot, right? So it has to be a purpose. And how's that purpose going to drive the ESG of the company? That will be the future. Because if you're not going to do it, I would rather spend my time or invest or buy or rent with a company that cares about the future more than some that don't.
Right. Calvin, again, I reserve all the provocative questions for you, because you are free, you're free to answer it from an academic perspective always. I always feel that the VCs heat up the market too much, because they need to sell, they need to expect the 100 times return. So sometimes, and I'm just going to take an example of Arthur's startup or Zach's startup, if this can do a benefit of, say, 10% return on the bottom line for the company, and also some do good. But the VCs at some point of a hype cycle, they will make it like 100 times. They will talk about 50 billion devices of IoT, sometime back in 2008, actually. And they said that they've been telling that every next 3 years, right? And because of this kind of hype, the actual clients tend to think that, who you always say that the wolf is coming. And then they don't trust even the reality, like maybe the genuine digital twin of Paradise or the genuine energy efficiency product from Arthur. Sometimes that people always look at with a doubt because of this over marketing hype cycle. What is your view about this? Or should the tech players a little bit maybe more realistic, or they are under the pressure of VCs to oversell it?
I think I totally agree with your point that there's the return on investment, right? It's a hype, it's a reality. And for the last 20 years, I also like to always differentiate about the hype versus the reality, the expectation versus the actual outcome. And whether or not there is such a risk for PropTech, I may say it's not as high as compared to all other industry that we have seen. The same hype, the same reality, the same VC kind of like over attention and amazing valuation. It's even more so in consumer electronics, in apps, in social media, in game, in many other fronts. On the other hand, I think the more attention we can get from some of these major VCs, from some of these global giants to wake our construction industry up, our property and real estate market up, I think we welcome that. And because our needle is so low in terms of benchmark, our status quo is so bad that that there's so much room for growth over there. And
right, it's only probably next to agriculture, according to McKinsey. And the global EBIT for a construction industry is less than 5%. So that seems like billions of dollars, but it seems the net margin is very low, and due to which they are very conservative about adapting anything new, not proven. Yan, how does the 5G kind of play into these kind of roles? Really, what do you think? I mean, we've been told always that 5G is going to be the magic in terms of consumer mobile industry. But in reality, I haven't seen any industrial application in Hong Kong. We've been talking about the 5G is here, 5G is there, but I cannot see the 5G, unfortunately. Even the labs, they claim 5G. Really, what industrial applications in 5G you think will come into the first in Hong Kong?
Okay, thank you, Shankar. Actually, I guess 5G in IoT, or actually we see it deployed in most of the 2B use cases. So that's why, I mean, people don't directly see them. However, they are actually embedded as part of many things. For example, there are unmanned vehicles that could be used in, for example, the coach bus, in airport or in the port. And there are some other, and as part of improving safety, there are also like semi-autonomous or also unmanned vehicles or robotics controlling the, for example, some of the machineries at the ports or at the construction site. So people don't directly see them. However, they are actually in use, and we are seeing more and more of those.
In Hong Kong, Yan? Did you say it's in use? Is it in Hong Kong?
I think in Hong Kong a little bit less so. However, in China is quite popular.
Sure.
But actually, we also see some companies asking us about this or have curious.
You're being very polite to Hong Kong. I thought it's almost close to zero in Hong Kong, but you said it's less so.
Yes.
No problem. I understand. Zach, on the digital twin, you talked about quite a lot of safety-related applications. Do you see any potential about environment? Do you see that the twin can actually really help with saving the wastages? I think Arthur talked about wastages. Calvin talked about wastages. Is there any application that you can talk about construction waste, construction delays? Do you see any kind of insights and applications that can be derived from your platform or generally?
Okay, sure. I think digital twin, first of all, it's behind it is data, whether it's BIM model, whether it's GIS data, whether it's IoT sensors, it's just data for us, whether it's 3D spatial data, time series data, it's data. So what we're trying to do is, in terms of efficiency, we're trying to, I think at the core, what we're trying to do is to help the clients to visualize, to get insights quickly and at the most efficient way. And by doing that, to help them, first of all, to help them to save time in terms of construction or reporting times, and also in terms of waste, we help them to so for example, for tracking the progress, for tracking the usage of concrete, and for tracking also the delivery of concrete of each truck. We get them insights on, for example, the part load of each concrete trucks. And that information, they might have them in like papers or recorded on a piece of paper somewhere and stored it. Nobody looks at it. And by digitalization of them and give them dashboards, give them visualization in a 3D environments, people realize that they have those wastes. And by realizing, first step is realizing, then they could take actions. So I think
Right.
so the answer is definitely yes. We could help on saving wastes, and also
Right.
by improving the efficiency, saving times, it's also saving costs and saving waste as well in another form.
Wow. And Arthur and Zach, again, it's an open question to you both. You've been doing quite a bit of in Hong Kong. Do you see yourself going regional, global, as a Hong Kong unicorn? Arthur, do you want to go first, Arthur?
Yeah, so we are actually operating in outside Hong Kong right now. We actually have a sizable project in Indonesia, and we've actually signed about 200 buildings to be deployed in the next 12 months in the
Excellent.
in the region of about 20 cities. And is going to increase our daily active users into about 6,000 people. And
fantastic.
And these are the frontline facility services people that will use our platform and our app on a daily basis more than an hour a day, right? So that's the amount of data that we're going to collect, and also from that information, we're going to help them to manage their building services and property services more efficiently, right? So yes, so definitely outside Hong Kong is definitely our target. But I always think Hong Kong is a good place to start as a trial or playground, because property services, property industry, Hong Kong is probably one of the most mature city in APAC, with the stringent rules, check and balances, anti-corruption. If this work, if the concept work, it should be tested in Hong Kong first, right? Because it's the standard is high. That's why in Southeast Asian countries, like a lot of cities do look up at Hong Kong because it has this history of success, right? So if you're proven that Hong Kong, you can make in Hong Kong that you don't die, right? Then they would learn from you eventually.
Right, and definitely the expectation in Hong Kong is much higher in terms of quality standards. So,
right.
So a solution that's proven in Hong Kong with proper reference cases will be having a lot more respect as you go out. Zach, what's your plans?
Yeah, for us, right now we are actually mainly focusing on Hong Kong markets, but our goal is definitely to go abroad, APAC, Southeast Asia, Japan, Taiwan, so or big Bay areas. So because that, I think first of all, Hong Kong for us is in terms of infrastructure projects, it's quite a big market for us right now, and it's also also say a really good playground to test things out and develop things to be a bit more mature stage. And yes, I think after the COVID-19 situation eases, we'll definitely explore more opportunities around the APAC. Yeah.
Right. And Calvin, just on that aspect, what kind of skill sets do you think the educational institutions, from academic perspective, I thought that most of the stuff that we learn in the university is close to useless when you come to the work. What we learn is the learning skill, and many of the things that we learn there is not applicable directly in our real-time job as a first job. Is there anything that you could recommend or Hong Kong educational institutions can do? I feel like the VTC is more practical than the universities here. So what do you think about these kind of, the educational upgrade for ourselves? Sorry, Jonas, I know that you are a professor, sorry.
I'm a part-time, I'm an adjunct professor. So I think, like Stanford and Silicon Valley has this really kind of like reciprocal synergy that we have seen, and how many of my colleagues at Stanford would like to bring industry problems to research, and how the research should also think about what kind of education opportunity we can bring, and how this can become a win-win-win opportunity. So I think the more that we can step away from prescriptive approach, from a one professor who knows everything, teaching that to all the young generation, to maybe really set up a community that there may be a number of mentors, a number of professors, each of them may be good at a certain area, but together, how do we ask the right question How do we work as a team? How do we know that sometimes there's no perfect answer, and that's okay? So I think there's still a lot of ways we can do. And indeed, I've been serving as some local jury member to see some local competition. And I do agree that there may be a way that we need to maybe first train the trainer, and also rethink about the evaluation system in our career, in our education system, and probably a lot more we can do.
Yeah, that's actually very good points. You talked about practical research bringing into the academic, and also less than perfect is okay, which is actually another, Arthur and Zach talked about the higher expectations of Hong Kong. Sometimes I find that it's really over high, that it's very difficult for any technology to try, because it is not like you can achieve the 100% immediately. And this is where the technology, like in mainland, they try many things because they're okay to accept the closer than 100% perfect answer. I think that's something that probably we may need to learn as Science Park and Cyberport. They're promoting more and more the startups. It's about innovation, trying, failing, and moving on from there. So Arthur and Zach, I know that you both from Science Park and Cyberport, and I don't want to start a competition between which one is better. But tell me one thing that that you get as like best benefit from being there. Arthur, I think Cyberport is best. What do you think, Arthur?
I think Cyberport has definitely been see a lot of benefits of being a Cyberport company in many ways. They have so many departments trying to do things, and they do try to understand what is innovation and commercialization of technology, right? And they do see the friction, like you said, like why is it so hard for someone or a company to adopt PropTech in Hong Kong, right? But it's really against human nature, right? Because just think about it. These business tycoons, the richest people in the world, spend 30, 40 years of their lifetime trying to perfect the business, which is real estate industry, which is the most mature industry in Hong Kong, right? And suddenly you just say, okay, I'm going to put some sensors here and there. I'm going to give you some mapping. I'm going to do some AI black box, going to calculate. I'm going to make your company make a lot more money. That's just too far-fetched for them, right? It takes time to educate them. So what Cyberport's doing is they do a great deal of business matching, right? The KPI is not money, right? So I think the KPI is really making connections and really guiding companies to be successful. And like I've never gotten that much of attention from a tech hub. Like I would have 5-6 different departments from Cyberport pinging me on WhatsApp. Hey, what can we do? Like I got this for you. I got that for you. Would this business matching make sense? How about business partners? How about potential clients? How about a talk in GBA? How about going outside? So they do actually use their heart to actually help their companies.
That's fantastic to hear, because I do receive many messages from Cyberport as well.
They get the job done.
And Ricky keeps chasing me many times. Hey, what can I do for you? And then so on.
Yeah.
Zach, what is your counter answer for Arthur? I think Science Park can do better than Cyberport.
Yeah, Science Park is great. Well, I think my answer will be quite similar to Arthur. I think Science Park is also great for not only providing us funding and stuff, but also more importantly business opportunities, matchings, coachings, like events, social events as well. It's bigger, right? So we have more companies here, and we get to know. We get to share ideas with other Science Park companies, and also I think it's a very good sort of tech startup environment here that we experience, and I think it's a good place.
Okay, so you both will vouch for your own motherland, I guess. So keep it up. And I have questions here from Oliver Pang to Mr. Lee, which is Yan. Yan, does China Telecom provide the IoT sensors, or is it just involved in connecting to the cloud part of the IoT solution?
Thank you. Thank you, the audience. Yes, we also provide specific hardware for different industrial use case. This as part of different industrial applications. So us as the telco, the connectivity is our core business. But we are slowly expanding to some specific industries. So I think smart constructions is one, and yeah, we do have some different products from us and from our partners for that.
Right. I think possibly Negawatt and Varadize could be your partners as well.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So Arthur and Zach, you can buy me a drink later. And there's a next question here, which is a long question about blockchain with contractors, architects, subcontractors, banks, etc. Can you see data collected from these IoT devices posted on such chains where the data might be viewed and used by multiple parties? Calvin, do you want to take up that question? Do you see a benefit of these data being posted on public? Do you think there will be a kind of, apprehension?
But my quick take is that it's not a technology or a blockchain question. It's a business, it's an objective, it's a requirement question. And it may be very different whether you may be a private developer or a public agency. So I do agree that these are very good questions. And just like any good technology planning, we need to set up the objective. We need to understand the value of doing something, the risk of not doing something. In the end of the day, whether blockchain, whether IoT may be part of the solution, it's subject to what may be best for that business objective. Because yes,
the purpose.
there's always a
really
both
the
side
purpose.
of that, right? Yeah.
Right. And do you see that, an adaptation of blockchain in construction industry, specifically in Hong Kong? Do you think it's good for Hong Kong and construction industry?
I would say that the promise of being serious about security, rather than just thinking that that's a hub, that's a common data environment, maybe the new buzzword or digital twin, everything being on the cloud, it's amazing. So I do agree that the attention to focus on security, access rights, not just whether you have the privilege to know something, but at what scenario. Do you have the right device in the right setting? Do you have the right temporal relationship? I think all this is a good question that we need to ask before we become, to Sanka point, having the hype and feeling the dream of a digital twin and IoT. So I do think that these definitely are the right questions to ask. Yet whether it must be blockchain or not, we are also working with startup in the Silicon Valley who can apply AI to manage data security. You may turn something to disappear if you don't need it. You may be able to really allow someone to be able to use the same set of data if you have the right scenario, the right equipment, the right use case. So I think it's really about the business purposes, and then to see whether blockchain gives you that best value solution or not.
Right, and that takes me to Negawatt as well as Varadize. You handle a lot of data, project data, client data, and also in Hong Kong and outside Hong Kong, Arthur. What kind of data security, or as the clients asking for ensuring that their data is protected? What kind of data security are you putting in place?
So I think I have a little, if you allow me to have a little input about the blockchain topic just now.
Please go ahead.
All right. So I think, Calvin's definitely spot. I think he's spot on for every sentence that he said. But I think from my point of view, I think blockchain, actually the byproduct of blockchain is actually increased data transparency, right? So how to apply that? It's in PropTech. It's definitely, and also I'll go back, I'll swing back to ESG, right? It's about reporting, it's about disclosing your information. Now the entire world is going crazy about decarbonization, going carbon neutral by whatever date it is. But how do you get there? How do you actually verify that, right? So if all this information is being collected, it's verified, blockchain, then everyone should have a much better security, or actually a sense of security to trust this data, right? I mean, think about it. Imagine if your financial report of listed company is blockchain. Every transaction is blockchain. that is a very, very mind-blogging idea, right? So I think definitely that is a good thing to have. I mean, whether or not it's going to blockchain or not, using blockchain as technology, maybe, but I think at the end of the day, some way to increase data transparency is the key of digital transformation.
Absolutely. The data transparency is absolutely important, and also the audit trail is very, very important. We don't want another shut-in central here,
Yeah.
so where the data goes missing, right? So it's very important for us, but it also, everybody finger points to everybody else, and somehow the regulatory authority is always 2 steps behind. So it also needs to be driven as a collective ecosystem, not just by only one particular entity, or it's a whole ecosystem game on that part.
About data security, or there are many tests, penetration tests, third-party penetration tests. You can rely on public cloud security. You can even have ISO standards for your own company to handle data security as well. So there are many things that you can just follow.
Sure. And Zach, you're having a lot more spatial data in construction. How sensitive are these data from clients' perspective? Do you have the same pressure? It's not money. It's not any very secret data. So what kind of data security are you actually addressing?
So it's just a really good question. So the data we get from clients is all stored in our server on the cloud, but we make sure clear that for our projects and our clients that the data belong to them, and they could, if they want, and download and make a copy of the data whenever they want. And in terms of security, I won't go into too much detail, but we have a special technology that makes it really hard, because what we're doing is kind of like a streaming services. So we're providing our services in terms of streaming. So it's really, there's nothing, when people access our platform, they don't really get access to the data. So that's what all I can say. Yeah.
That's cool. And Yan, so do you really think 5G enhances the data security?
Actually, in 5G, a little bit yes. It depends on the architecture or on the final solutions. In fact, with 5G, it allows the enterprise to build a private network out of the telecoms spectrums. So in this way, I mean, we have also seen some use cases. For example, like port, that they can build their own private networks for a lot of the vehicle controls, for example, for the video surveillances, for example, monitoring the space. So yes, in that sense, I mean, it can also be used, to improve security, which was not available in the 4G standard.
Right. Okay. Right. Then question to Kelvin. Kelvin, you being an academic, what do you see in the horizon? What's next to IoT?
I have my equal footing in academia and also in real implementation. My take is that sometimes we often ask the question, what's next, without really asking ourselves how well we have gone through the previous old-fashioned term. So even though BIM, it's almost coming on to 20 years now, when the Construction Industry Council of Hong Kong commissioned our team at Strategic Building Innovation BIM Score to do a study, we found that maybe less than 1/3 of the surveyed organizations, some 700 of them being surveyed by our team, were really kind of like proliferate and comfortable with BIM. A good 40% of the organizations in Hong Kong in the construction industry are not even using BIM as of 1 or 2 years ago. And similarly, yes, we may be ready, those of us on this call, on this panel may be ready for the next thing about IoT, but what if we just think about maybe just changing the definition of IoT a little bit? Do we get, rather than Internet of Things, can we get intelligence over time, IoT? Because we are not necessarily smart, even though we label everything to be smart. If we can just even talk to one another digitally, if we can even really gain some intelligence, gain some insights, that's the way to go before we are really ready to move on to the concepts of BIM and IoT. But certainly, I would say that what we also need to be mindful of, it's not only to deliver something, but are we being resilient? Are we being prosperous in terms of the community and in terms of the environment?
Right. So you're truly a professor. You didn't answer my question. You kind of answered me indirectly, but so I'm just going to put that. Arthur, being a commercial person, give me straight. What's next to your business? You will become a commodity next 1 year. What are you going to innovate next?
Yeah, I think. So I think IoT is just a medium to collect data, right? What's next is, what do you use with data? How do you understand the data? And what can you derive from the data, right? So you have the digitization, and then from turning offline data into 1 and 0, you have the digitalization. What do you do with this data that we do? And you have the digital transformation. Can you derive new services out of this information, right? That's what we call managed services. So imagine like what Facebook is doing of your online data. Imagine what Instagram is doing with the online data. So IoT is a gateway to get your offline data. I mean, people spend 90% of the time inside a building. Think about this information you can get, okay? And think about what kind of managed service you can derive from that. So that is definitely—
Isn't that very hard, Arthur? It's easier said than done. Many of the businesses are having the same challenge, that they don't know how to define what is a problem statement. And then they collect the data and then try to think that, okay, if I collect the data, maybe I can find the problem.
Yeah, so I think right now, circling back, I think ESG gives you a good framework, right? If ESG gives you a good framework to guide you how to be resilient and future-proof. So understand what ESG is and which part of ESG is going to impact your business the most, and then look at how digital ready you are right now. Look at if your staff, if your workforce, your human capital, is it ready right now to tackle that problem? Okay, so a lot of the things that you have to understand where you at right now and what means. And there's always prioritization, right? Focus on the things that will mean the most to you, your core terms, your short term, your long term goals. What do you need? And I believe that there's always a saying: whatever you're not measuring, you're not managing it, right? So I think first of all, get the measuring done, get the monitoring done, doing correctly, and then understand this data, and then think and be entrepreneurial about it. I mean, these tycoons, these business, they have been great in being entrepreneur from day one. Now you have data to help to drive their businesses, to drive new things. So that's the next thing, is like really, I don't think it's actually hard, because they already have the infrastructure. They already have the clients, right? They just need to use the right technology, how to improve the services or derive new services out of it.
Right, okay, fantastic. Zach, what's next for your Paradise? What's going to be the next, any secret stuff that's going to come up on the pipeline? Anything that you can share with us?
Right. Actually, we are constantly developing and improving our products and platforms. So I can only say that right now we're mainly focusing on projects by projects, but in future we're trying to sort of integrate and sort of our horizon will sort of get more involved in the smart city, like in Hong Kong as a whole. So we're trying to make a platform more inclusive and adapted to a bigger environment rather than individual project.
Right. I see a very interesting question there. Do you see, the clients using the data from Apple or Android, because they have so many sensors that the data can it be used for improving the infrastructure problems? I would like to share my own answer on this first. In Philippines, actually, Grab has more information than their local transport team. So in fact, the local transport government, they are actually asking the data from Grab to improve the infrastructure. But in Hong Kong, it may be on the opposite side. that we don't see as much as collaboration on this. Whether it's open question for everybody. Do you see such thing like happening? We don't have Uber, so we can't ask Uber anyway. So is there any other collaboration from like, the B2C side, grabbing the data to improve? Do you see that happening, Calvin? And it's an open question to anybody.
Yeah, I certainly hope that Hong Kong and the global community can move more towards a more fluid exchange and open sharing of information and data. One initiative that my team has been doing is to supporting the Lands Department of Hong Kong to leverage more open data standard, whether that may be for BIM, for GIS, or for other, potentially also getting more into the IoT field. What can the Hong Kong government do to provide a more standardized data format so that more data exchanges and more proprietary information can be commonly posted? So that's certainly something that we are aware that the Lands Department and the Development Bureau may be interested in furthering.
Yeah, in fact, I saw an advertisement from, a promotion from one of the government department. They're going to make most of the data open starting July, spatial information, which many of the startups, they could use this information to create new insights, which was a perfect way to go. We can create a knowledge-based economy. Hope we can see more and more such kind of things. And Rainey put up a message in the chat box that the past report, 80% plus of the IoT deployments are addressing the UN SDGs, which is great. I think everybody understands that measuring is very important. What, like Arthur said, what you don't measure, you can't manage. But sometimes measurement may not be in your favor. So maybe they're worried that that measurement may not always show you a very positive answer. And then they start with the foot that, oh, what happens if it's negative? How can I manage the issue, damage control? So is it better that we don't have the data? Is that an answer? So that's where the challenge is, and this is where the maturity of the organization comes into the forefront, that we need to be continuously improving rather than worrying about what is our current state. Arthur, I see you nodding your head.
So my take is I definitely agree with you. That's the constant battle that I fight with our clients or potential clients every day. What if we have collect data that is not good? What do you do with it? So it's like, it's more like, well, do you want to help your company or not? But you're just going to keep your job, okay? A lot of people, the owners get it, the top leaders get it, but it's hard to push PropTech or technology because it actually exposes a lot of inefficiencies, right? Because how we manage a building, how we manage a business is just by people, right? By common sense. So it is definitely a battle that we have to fight. But eventually, I think it's like a tip, eventually I think if one company is being transparent of their operation data, and it's okay not to be perfect, right? Like I said, like no one is perfect right now. No one's going to be $1 billion and then there's enough faults. But being able to own to that inefficiency,
it's a behavioral change. It's really a cultural change.
Yeah. So that's why you see the better, well performed developers right now. They are jumping to disclose their information because they want to tell people, they want to be transparent, and they want to tell people how much effort they're actually managing their operation, right? Rather than, don't come to knock on my door. I don't want to let you know what's going on. But I mean, those are private companies, but the bigger companies or the public companies, it's their duty to actually disclose their information, how they manage the operation.
And there is a question for you, Arthur, actually. How do you see, are there any differences between your experience in Indonesia and Hong Kong in terms of sustainability? Whether these are cultural, whether these are, how do you see it? Are there changes happening?
Yeah, so the big thing, I've been working out of Hong Kong for like over a decade, and I was in Indonesia for a couple of years now, right? So the first thing is in Hong Kong, really focus on buildings, property value, equipments, whatnot, right? But smart buildings. But Indonesia, it's actually, they actually prefer to start with smart people first, right? it's really how to train them to be smart, how to train them to be open-minded, and we cannot just throw like a spaceship over there because it doesn't work. You really have to start with the small ones, right? It's a guerrilla warfare out there. So you really have to understand what is the biggest problem in those emerging markets. So you talk about like mature markets and emerging markets. These markets has different needs. So really understand the culture, how to do localization, and what's the immediate problem they need to face, and then solve that for them first. And then you can start adding on into smarter cities, smarter buildings, sustainability. So when you ask about sustainability, people, it's probably the key of the whole sustainability problem. So start with people, educate them, and spend more resources on that first, and then that will take off itself.
Right. Calvin and Yan, this is interesting question, tricky question, that, a largest network of private IoT devices that provide security. Just curious if you see private IoT devices aggregating data points to solve a civil problem. I don't know whether this could be good and bad if not managed very well. Calvin, do you have your thoughts on it?
We certainly see that, right? Kind of like how globally with Waze, with Google Map, how crowdsourced data can allow other community, other spin-off business to do something that no kind of like a public agency alone may be able to do. Just like Sanka, your example about the Philippines, right? So certainly those are those capability. Whether or not we can really kind of like draw the good line between security, between privacy, between what we think may be social good, certainly everybody has a role to play. From those gatekeeper of those information, whether they have the consent to use those information, whether they should, to the public agency or even citizen, that whether we want to disclose those data and for the broader public good. So certainly the promise.
It's a very good point. It should be sought with the public good and the consent. Some of the good applications, there's an elderly care app that they can call a SOS button. So it's the purpose and whether the people are willing to opt for it is very important point. We are almost near the time. I'm just conscious of the time before I see Rainey's face there. Is there any other questions from people that you would like to ask the panelists? I believe I've answered most of your questions. So perhaps because we're almost close to time, maybe one last question for kind of everybody. What is your one wish that you would like to have in your field to be successful next from maybe Hong Kong? Any wish that you think may come true and then that will make the PropTech very successful or your business very successful? Zach, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, something I can think of right now is I wish that people will be more open-minded in adopting new technologies. I think a lot of time is really down to the people rather than the technology to make things work. So to make whether digital twin is a hype or is it really helpful, really down to the people using it, I think. So I really hope that we can all, everybody, our clients or ourselves, be more open-minded and yeah, in terms of data transparency.
Excellent point.
So, yeah.
Excellent point, Zach. Yes. Yan, could I ask you, what will be one of your wish that you see will be helpful for your business if it comes through?
Thank you. Also try to echo some of the points raised by the panelists before about security and about privacy. I think my wish is to have a proper governance or policy, to enable the data can be collected for greater goods. Because I think, with sensors, with a lot of sensors, it can help a lot, in terms of environmental controls, in terms of, like for example, detecting the traffic with each vehicles detecting the traffic situations or the weather situations. Actually, they are good for people. So, but there has to be a proper governance in place to support that.
So open-minded, good governance is necessary. Arthur?
Yeah, so my wish is really to urge people, tenants, developers, users, government agencies, whatnot, to be not really too short-sighted, right? Don't really just focus on the short-term monetary gains, right? Look at the big picture. Look at the sustainability of the world. We have to change. We need to change. Otherwise, we're not going to have a future. So never think that this is a battle. That's not their battle to fight, right? So, we only have this generation to make an impact if we're going to have a world in the next 30 years.
Fantastic. Yep. Look for the next generation, not only us. That's good to hear from the CEO. Calvin.
Be positive. If we all can bring a positive spin to everything, even challenges, even complaints and whatnot, bring a positive mindset, bring a positive attitude, bring a positive spirit, I think that certainly can help a lot.
Well, fantastic. I think we had a very interesting hour of conversation. The audience as panelists enjoyed the discussion. Any final words that you would like to say before we close?
Sorry, cut off.
No, we had almost, I'm trying to give you last 2 minutes of this time. Is there anything that you would like to say before we close the session?
Well, I think it's a fantastic panel, a lot of interesting points that all the panelists have raised, and definitely a lot of key takeaways for myself as well, right? As a not-for-profit organization ourselves and IoTA as well, we do hope to make impact as part of our key mission statement that's beyond commercial business models. So hopefully with PropTech Hong Kong as well as IoTA, we can join forces to do more collaborations in the future to facilitate these insightful, interesting discussions, and also, of course, help the business to grow and help people to collaborate on commercial and non-commercial initiatives.
Fantastic.
So, my grateful thankfulness to everyone here on the panel. I see Arthur is raising his hand. Are you raising hand or saying hello?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Sankar for doing this. I think he's probably one of the best or most professional moderator that I've had in this series.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You do understand what's going on.
Thank you so much. And then Ernest, your turn before we close the session.
Well, happy Friday to all. So have a positive mindset, enjoy, and then start to contribute again next week.
Thank you so much, people. Happy Friday, remind 6 o'clock, and have a great weekend and stay safe. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you, Sankar. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rennie.